What's up, everybody, and welcome to an episode of Team Chat Podcast, a video game show where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time, and you can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, as well as watch a video version of each episode over on our YouTube channel. Links for all that are in the description below. You can also find us on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can join our Discord server where we have a lot of great fun talking about video games, non-video gaming related topics, any kind of topic we really want to talk about when we're not here recording the show. So come join us there. It's a lot of fun. And finally, if you'd like to help make the show bigger and better, just like Elise F., Zach S., Mariah S., Susan M., James K., Ben W., Michael B., Fuchsia Rascal, Andrew M., Michael S., and Brandon W. have done, you can go to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where it's for as little as $1 a month you can support the show, and in return, we'll give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, and access to a lot of extra fun bits of goodness along the way. So, and if you can't do that, that's no big deal at all. We totally understand. And so there's a lot of other great free ways that you can support the show, such as, like telling your friends, writing us reviews, subscribing wherever you listen to or watch the podcast. All of that helps get the great word of Team Chat Podcast out to the masses. And for that, we are eternally grateful. And thank you. Heart emojis, all that stuff. Thank you all. But we've got an excellent episode to jump back into 2022 because I am joined across the power of the internet by my co-host, Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno to you as well. How are you this fine day?
Doing very excellent because we are joined across the power of the internet by two awesome people.
Exactly. Yes, we are joined today by the crew from TripleXP, Mike and Shane. How's it going, guys?
Hello. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, happy to be here again.
Nice. Yeah, we're excited. We had you guys on our first episode of 2021 last year, so it's exciting to make this kind of a tradition now and bust into 2022 with you guys as well, ring in the new year. And so
it really does feel like New Year's tradition,
right?
We have
feels
the
good.
TripleXP podcast crew on.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time, and it's been a while since we talked to you guys, so I'm excited to get to catch up and talk about one of our famous top subjects. So it's gonna be a good time.
We have missed the spiel.
Yeah, everybody misses the spiel.
and I gotta say, you guys put me up under a lot of pressure before we got started, but
I
feel
really
like
ragging on Jared.
That was a really good.
I
feel like that was a very good read, so I'm feeling good after that.
It was good. Here at Team Chat Podcast, we formally endorse bullying of all types. We think it's very cool.
But man, though, it was very weird, though. I will say, not immediately jumping and introducing Mogan. So I was like, man, the spiel feels long, and I'm just out here by myself. But hey, we got it. I'm back now in the comfort zone where I can just talk to all of you guys. So hey, what's up? How's it been going? How's your new year been so far?
It's been a quiet one for me. I just kind of jumped back into work maybe 2 days ago or something like that.
Nice.
But I've had a lot of family round, so I've not had much chance to game this year so far.
So just in the early stages.
We're only 7 days in, so
yeah.
So far so good.
That's very true. Shane, how about you?
Pretty much the same, to be honest. Very, very quiet. Jumping back into work, and we haven't even got much going on TripleXP at the moment. We're still gearing up for this year because we haven't actually got around to recording an episode ourselves yet. So yeah, it has been a very quiet 7 days.
Nice.
Well, for the people that don't know TripleXP, why don't you kind of introduce the show and tell them a little bit about you guys?
Yeah, it's a solid idea.
Where can we find you?
We're joined by these two strangers that you've never...
And you cannot find them anywhere else on the internet.
They're not on the internet. I know we're saying a name like they have a podcast, but they actually don't. No, they do.
Yeah, you can find us all over the place. Spotify, the main one, and YouTube are the other ones that we tend to look at the most.
Nice.
And give the most love to, but it's available kind of wherever you like, really. But yeah, we are a team of people. There's not just me and Shane. There is a third member of TripleXP. That's kind of where the name comes in. So yeah, we just kind of chat about games and like gaming culture and all that kind of stuff. All the nerdy goodness.
Nice. Yeah, it's a very fun show. People should definitely go check them out because they have a really great conversations and lots of different viewpoints, lots of good rotation of guests coming through. So it's always a good time over there on TripleXP. But Mogan, how about you? How's your beginning of the year been so far?
It's been pretty good. I finally got a rug for my apartment, which
that's
is
nice.
Very new for me.
Does it bring the room together?
No, I mean it does okay. You'll see it when you come check up on my boys, my baby
Okay.
cats. But it's just sort of sitting there, like awkwardly curled up at the edges, and every time I walk past it, I kind of trip on it. But that's been all right. And yeah, me too. I haven't really done a ton of gaming so far, but I've definitely been getting a little bit back more into. I keep wanting. It's not Spilt-Gut. It's Splitgate. And even when I say Splitgate in my head, I'm like Splitmas, because they had a Christmas event that was like
Right.
Christmas Splitgate. And so every time I think of the game now, I just think Splitmas, because that's so much easier for me to say. Or Spilt-Gut, of course. But yeah, Splitgate is still awesome. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I know Halo 5?
Yep.
Okay.
6, technically.
I know a new Halo game is out, but that doesn't mean that Splitgate is dead. People are still having a blast in there. Go join them. It's free. It's totally free.
Yeah.
Yep.
Splitgate
Very
came
nice.
out of nowhere as well, didn't it? It was just one of those like.
I mean,
It
that's
kind of just
definitely
came
how
at
it
the right
felt to
time
me.
Yeah, but like it had been out for what?
Yeah, that's
a
the
year
thing.
or
People
two
kept telling
already?
me, like, oh, yeah, it's been in early access for 2 years. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. Nobody
too
told
early for me.
anybody.
Yeah.
So I feel like it didn't really become anywhere on my radar until mid to late last year. It wasn't even that early on. It was like summer.
Yeah. But then it took over our lives like crazy. But what have I been doing? Same thing. Haven't really like jumped into anything big yet this year, gaming wise. Well, I take that back. Sam and I have actually been playing Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. We've been playing that one
Nice.
together. We got that one right after the holidays and everything. So we've been playing that one a lot. It's very, very fun. Sam said though to tell all of you though that she loves it, but it's like it feels like playing Sophie's Choice because she can't decide if she wants to be Tanuki Mario or Kitty Cat Mario because they're both just too cute.
Oh, well, they
So-
are both very cute. Have you had you played 3D had you played 3D World before?
No, I missed it.
Oh my
before.
gosh, it was
It's
one
super
of
fun.
the standout games of the tragic Wii U era. It was arguably the best game that came out for that console, and I'm so glad that they ported it to the Switch because it's stellar. I have very mixed feelings on the Bowser's Fury expansion, but the core game itself is A++.
Yeah, we've been having a great time with it.
Yeah, it's awesome. If anybody missed that game because they didn't have a Wii U, which is many, many people, but you've got a Switch, definitely check it out. I think it's one of the better Mario games in quite a few years. Not better than Odyssey, but still really, really good.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with it. It's weird playing in the 3D perspective, especially like how it has it the more like isometric 3D sometimes, especially with two people. It like gets we keep watching the wrong person all the same time, especially when they are kitties because they're in different colors than you. Well, Mario's yellow, but Luigi, I guess, is still green. But so it just kind of like always, I feel like we're almost done with the game, but I still feel like I'm adjusting too much to the to like, oh, we watched the wrong person and fell off the map and all that stuff.
Well, Jarrett, you would be so proud of me. Bro Mogan and I actually played a little bit of Overcooked. Not Overcooked 2, just Overcooked
Nice.
over the holidays. We are not good. We
gotta
are
practice.
very bad. Like, we were completing challenges in like World 3 and only getting 1 star or
Oh, no.
failing them outright. And we were like, huh. I wonder if we have communication issues. Why is this so hard for us?
Oh, that's
So to
funny.
know that you and Sam like platinumed that game more or less blows
yeah.
my mind. Incredible skill. 10 out of 10
Yeah.
relationship.
That game is really a relationship test in disguise.
Oh, it is.
Oh man. And it was just kind of one too that like we randomly stumbled on. I want to say like I heard about it recommended. I want to say from Kind of Funny, Greg Miller, one of them. And we just like tried it on a whim one night with one of our friends and just instantly became addicted to it and just played it constantly. I bought Overwatch 1 and 2. I mean, not Overwatch, Overcooked 1 and 2 on PS4. Pretty sure I got 2 for Switch, and then we bought the all-you-can-eat like PS5 version of that contains the base game and everything. So we got it everywhere, and we're still trying to play through it and all the seasonal events and whatnot. We love it so much. But let's move on to the main topic of the day, which you may have already guessed, being that this is the first episode of 2022, that we are going to be doing we normally do these in 2 episodes, but it kind of feels fun to combine them into one where we look back on 2021, our year in gaming in 2021, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that we're most excited about looking forward to in 2022. So, who wants to kick us off? Like, what was one of the things, Mike, why don't you go first? One of the things that you were most excited about, or one of your favorite games, or, game of the year, whatever you want to share about 2021.
So one of the sort of games that kind of went under the radar for me Can you hear me okay? Because I just had a headphone switch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you sound great.
Yeah, sound great.
Yeah. So one of the games that kind of crept up on me was Hot Wheels Unleashed. I don't know if any of you played that.
Didn't
Oh,
play it, but I know I've seen gameplay footage of it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy that it was just like so good and reviewed really well. It got sort of 8s and 9s, those high kind of scores that you look for. But really surprisingly, like super fun arcade racer. So like excludes a lot of people usually because it's just a racing game and people usually that's like last on the list, isn't it? But yeah, so it's all Hot Wheels. It's all the officially licensed Hot Wheel cars.
Nice.
And they have this crazy like loot box system, which it's kind of like everyone's frowning now when I say that, but it's all built into the game. So there's no microtransactions in it whatsoever. Well, there are packs of cars and things that you can buy, but it's a loot box in the sense of like how it was fun as a child to open like a Kinder egg and you get like this little surprise and it was like a new toy. So there was a lot of that, and you'd constantly be like cycling through these boxes that you get for just playing races and things like that. Anyway, just playing through the game normally as you would. But the great thing about it has licensed cars like from the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, nice.
There's Batman. There's the DeLorean from Back to the Future. It has all these like great cars that then for me just became the sole aim of the game is to just get these cars. And as soon as I got the DeLorean, I was like, I'm racing this for a little bit. This is my car now.
I'm done. I don't need any more.
Yeah. That was it. I was done after that.
is it? So can you play Hot Wheels Unleashed online, like against other DeLorean enthusiasts?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's surprisingly challenging as well. It's a
Yeah, that's
surprisingly
cool.
challenging game because you assume going into it being Hot Wheels, it's going to be fairly simplistic but it's actually very challenging. Especially as a lot of the maps, as you can imagine, with like the Hot Wheels setups, they can go up in the air and you can literally fly off the map and then not be able to get back onto it without having to like physically reset. Which just makes it a lot more challenging because you can't just like bomb around corners and hope for the best and hit everything on the way around because you will end up flying off the map.
So it sounds more like a Crash Team Racing rather than a Mario Kart kind of game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm like hearing when I'm hearing you talk about it. I'm like, yeah. And Mike, what you said earlier about how racing games always feel like they're at the bottom of everybody's list, I think that's very true. But when I think back to some of the games that I've played the most that are racers, Crash Team Racing is like it's at the very top in terms of how much fun it actually is. Racing games don't get they don't get enough love. So to hear that there's I think it's also hilarious that of all the racing games you could have mentioned from 2021, instead of Forza, which was like everybody's racing game of last year, yours is Hot Wheels Unleashed.
Yep. Give me toy cars any day.
Awesome.
Well,
Forza can go get fucked.
What I've liked about it, or what was appealing to me of what I've seen from that game too, is that it's not one that tries to like be an ultra realistic, like graphically looking racer game. It does have that very much like it's a toy, cartoon aesthetic look to it and everything like that. And which kind of reminded me a lot. Did you guys ever play? I want to say it was PS1. It might have been N64, but like the Toy Soldiers game where it was like you were the green plastic army men that you could buy in like bulk.
Yes, like Sergeant's Heroes or something.
It kind of like gave me like a literal toy box like feel to it and everything. So it did look really fun and like it looked like it had a fun feel as a racer. But just like with
remember the game from the 360 days. I think it was just called like Toy Soldiers or something. It was like a wave based like tower defense game. And you just
I don't know if I know
like,
that one.
Armies of toy soldiers fighting against you.
Nice.
It was good.
That sounds
I think
fun.
it was called Toy Soldiers.
One of the
it's been a while.
one of the things around Hot Wheels that I think they have done really well and has quite impressed me is the way that they've handled their seasonal DLC. So the campaign is, those old like kids carpets that have got the town on them.
Yes.
So, I mean, so the campaign is like laid out on that. It's like a mat on the floor, and you're like moving around this town. But then for the seasonal DLC, they add on new areas. So the current one is Batman, and they've literally added on Gotham to this
Oh,
map. So
nice.
you go into Gotham, and then there's like 11 races you can do in Gotham, as well as unlocking like all of the different Batman cars.
See,
And it's not
I
just
didn't know this. I need to go back to this game now.
yeah, it's got
I thought
like
I
a
was done.
massive
It's going to be
section.
my 2022 game too. Here we go.
It's honest, is good, and it's not just like like the Batman car. You just think, oh, it's going to be the Batmobile, but like every
Sure.
single villain and character in Batman has their own designed car for them. So there's like a Joker specific car, a Bane specific car, which really impressed me actually. Because you generally with seasonal content, it can be really hit and miss as to how good it is.
Mhm.
But actually adding in the entirety of Gotham onto the campaign map is a pretty cool move. I think
That is
from
pretty
Hot
sweet.
Wheels.
That is
Yeah.
cool. You have to let me know if they add any Star Wars content because I'll probably be there then.
Pod
That'll
racing.
get him
Here we
in there.
go.
Oh my god, can we get
immediately.
like Pod Racer again? Man, I played that game on Switch recently, and that was that last year? That might have been last. Wait a minute, that might have been last year that I played that game. It was so fun, or actually like beat it for the first time, totally through. But yeah, Pod Racer is such a good racer. But so that's
Forza.
so I guess then if that one, I kind of feel like then Hot Wheels Unleashed was kind of a surprise game for you then of 2021. That one, like you weren't necessarily expecting it to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's
It
fair.
came out of nowhere for me, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I was instantly excited about this game. But yeah, there's been a few on my list that have come out this last year. Sorry, Lost in Random was another one, which I was so excited for. As soon as I saw it at E3 the year before, or I think it might have been, I was instantly hooked. It has this like Tim Burton-esque art style
Oh,
to
nice.
it, and it has this really interesting battle system where it's sort of real time, where you'll sort of walk around and fight the enemies in real time. But it also introduces dice and cards, so it's like the ultimate board game.
Nice.
But it has this like towns. You go through these certain towns, and they're all based off like numbers on the dice. So there's like 6th town, which is like the lowest. Like shanty town basically on the docks, and then you go to is it like 2 town, and they go all the way up in the numbers anyway, and you get progressively sort of fancier as you go up, and the more higher numbers. But yeah, it has some fantastic writing to it as well. It has some genuinely like belly laugh moments where I was like just really cracking up.
Nice.
Some of the writing is really funny, and just such a fun game, and just got super sucked into that world. Like it almost like instantly. It was like, I'm way into this game.
Nice.
Yeah, that was another sleeper
And that
hit
was
for me.
Lost in Random.
Lost in Random. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't manage to catch the full stream of it, but if anybody doesn't know, just Mike plays .twitch.tv.ttv whatever. He streams on Twitch, and I saw you play a little bit of that game, and it looked so cool. And most of what I ever saw you do was really the combat, and without having seen any of the tutorial, it was so confusing. I was like, he's throwing dice and there's stuff happening. So it looked really confusing from the outside, but I'm sure that if I actually knew what was happening, I would have been so into it. But just on aesthetics and soundtrack alone, it looked like a stellar game, and I still really want to circle back and play it because it did look like a sleeper hit. It really looked like a game that probably deserved more recognition.
Yeah, definitely did. Like, I just thought the writing and the aesthetic all just pulled it together. Like the combat, it was a little irksome at times. Like it could be a little frustrating, but I just really enjoyed it. Like I'm yet to finish it, but like many games on my list. But yeah, it was the combat. Once you get into it, I guess it's kind of like hard to watch because it is a bit, like you said, a bit confusing and a bit like, what is going on here?
Get a bit lost, you could say.
Yeah.
Get in.
Listen, I appreciate a dad joke as much as an ex. Yeah. But yeah, so to sort of start off with the combat, you have to kind of dodge to collect bits, to then roll your dice, to then use your cards. It's just like this like loop of cards and dice, and it's kind of crazy as you build your deck up as well, because there's obviously deck build into it, and there's a great character who handles all your cards, and he's like a shop, and his whole body is like a chest of drawers that he opens out, and he
Nice.
is the shop. Has all these like crazy characters and stuff, so it's well worth checking out. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Morgan, what would you say is one of your either probably I'd say like what's one of your like surprise hit, sleeper hit games for you that you played this year?
I'm not sure that I really played that much. Period. I feel like in general, 2021 was kind of a slower year in gaming for me.
Mhm.
Really, the ones that I can think of that I would classify as sleeper hits. There are definitely some mainstream ones on there that I can talk about. 6 Ways to Sunday. But in terms of sleeper hits, we kind of already covered it. Splitgate came out of nowhere, and just it's an incredible game. It's the only PC game that I play a lot. The other one being Muse Dash, which is a really fun rhythm game that was originally for mobile, but they ported to Steam. It plays great on PC, just as it does on mobile. Absolutely would recommend. The other one, and I'm not really sure that I would call it it's a good game, but I'm not. We talked about this when I did a review of it. I really don't think I would recommend it to most people. But Garden Story, aka Grape Story, the name that they should have named that game. Garden Story, for whatever reason, really stuck with me, and part of that might be because it was one of the few. It may have been the only. It may have been the only game that I played in 2021 that had a definitive end. Garden Story had a concise story that it wanted to tell, and it did that in a perfect 20 to 25 hour span. And when it was done, and that was it. And every other game that I really played last year, more Animal Crossing, Monster Hunter Rise, Bravely Default 2 because I didn't finish it.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were playing that game.
Yeah, I'm still playing it. I'm still working on it, but it's long. It's a long game. The JRPGs are not kind to me. But Garden Story was just one of the very few games that I actually finished. All of the others are either still unfinished or they're ones that have no end. They're just endless games that you eventually just get tired of.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
You know what? Like finishing a game is a big achievement these days, especially like
right. Like
as we're getting older, we're getting less and less time. Like especially when you've got 4 children like me.
I was about to say, like you've got kids. Like
you
it's
need
even
to start
harder
giving
for you.
some of those kids away. Hey, Mike, there are 4 of us here. You can give each of us 1 extra child, and then we'll share the load.
Can I just step in and say I do not want one of your children? Thank you.
Return to sender, please.
Well, someone's got to have 2 then.
And it can't be me. I already have all 4.
No.
Oh man. So Shane, what about you? What's a sleeper hit or surprise for you that came out of this year or last year?
This is really hard. And when you came to us and said this is what we're going to be covering, I really struggled because I also don't feel like I played much, and especially when it comes to sleep hits. And I'm actually still questioning whether 2021 existed at all because my brain can't comprehend that the last 12 months have existed.
For real.
Yeah. So I genuinely don't have every single game I played last year, I think met my expectations exactly as I had of them. I don't think there was anything that came out that made me go, that was fantastic compared to what I thought it was going to be. There were games that I wanted, like Kenna, maybe, but I still haven't played it. I've got it downloaded, ready to go, and I've yet to load it up. So
it's good.
That maybe could be the one. There was one game that I thoroughly enjoyed. It didn't come out last year, but it was one that I really did enjoy, and that was Carrion, which came out the year before.
Oh yes,
yeah, Devolver Digital. They're always coming out with awesome stuff.
Really enjoyed that. It's a really interesting, different take on the like alien destroying humans being unleashed in a base style game. I don't know if you guys have played it.
I haven't played it myself, but I know what it is, and every time I see it, I'm like, man, I want to play that game. And I feel like 2021 was the year of games that I saw and thought, that looks awesome, and then did not play. And so now my internal backlog is bigger than ever because all of the games that I did play are never-ending ones. It's a vicious cycle, I guess.
Yeah, even all of the like key mainstream games though, like none of them, they all met my expectations exactly what I expected of them. I can't think of one that stands out really. Like and again, I was really struggling to think about what games I've played this year, but I think about the Ratchet and Clanks, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Halo, every single one of them met my expectations exactly, but for good or bad.
Yeah.
I
So then-
genuinely have no sleeper hits.
Okay. Well, then I guess let's go ahead and throw it this way then. Another way of looking at it. What do you think would be your game of the year? And I will say a caveat to this that I'll say, because I would say, in case this applies for anybody else, like as we've already said, you know, like we have limited time, resources to play things. We're not the IGNs and the Kotakus and everything out there. Like we play what we can get our hands on. So like a lot of the games that I played last year were old ones from years before. So like, you know, your game of the year, I'm going to say, doesn't necessarily have to be a 2021 release, but like the game that you played from last year that you're like, this one was stellar.
It's Skyrim.
Knocked it out of the park.
Every
Again,
year.
it's
Don't do it.
but which version of Skyrim this time?
All of them.
You know what? I guess so. This is maybe it's kind of a dig at Skyrim. It is. It's a dig at Skyrim. I'm pretty sure Jared, did we not play Skyrim for the first time ever last year?
We did, and we both dropped it.
And we both instantly forgot about it. I think we made each of us maybe made it max 20, maybe 25 hours in. I made a solid
I think
try
so.
of it.
I did too. I feel like I put in a good. You streamed a lot of it too, though.
So I was going to say the only reason I made it as far as I did was because I was streaming it. If I hadn't been streaming that game, I would have quit immediately. So to hear you say Skyrim, Mike, it really wounds me.
I feel like I feel like Skyrim though is, and I'll get back to you, Shay. But like, I feel like Skyrim is one of those things where it's almost like movies from your childhood and stuff. If you missed out on them and then you go back and watch them as an adult. I mean, at this point, Skyrim's 11 years old, 10 years old, about to be 11
years old.
Yeah, last year was the 10-year anniversary.
Yes, that's right.
We played it.
So yeah, so it's one of those things. It's like I see the appeal and like and everything, but I don't know. I just couldn't get like completely bought into it. But
no, me
you
neither.
know, but you know,
you're
I'm glad
right,
that
though.
it's your game of the year for 10 years in a row. That's awesome.
You're right though,
and makes it easy.
It's got almost like an aggressive cult following now of just there's a group of fans that love it to the point that they will say it's the best game ever, and everybody else in the gaming world is looking at them like, well, it was okay at the time.
And now it's nothing.
Well.
No, I mean you all make solid points, to be fair. And when I do pick it up and play it, I never get more than 20 hours in. But for me, it's just like a comfort game. It's what I play when I don't want to play anything else and I'm really burnt out. I'll just go back to that and it'll kind of like get me back into playing games again. And I did platinum it for the first time. I've played it.
Oh, nice!
You know, for 10 years,
That's
and I managed to actually,
very nice.
I managed to actually
it only took you 10 years.
Yeah, it only took me 10
what
years.
a pace!
Made a plaque of that.
You know, I'm working on the PS5 version now. So
nice.
But yeah.
The fact that we're even
it's
saying
just
PS5 version Skyrim is it's ridiculous.
Yeah, me too. I'm much poorer for Skyrim.
No, I get what you mean though. I
Versions.
literally yesterday just bought the Switch digital version of Civilization 6, even though I already have it on PC and Switch cartridge because I got
Everyone's
tired of having
that game, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's because I was like, I got tired of having to switch out the cartridge. I'm like, I play this all the time. It's my comfort game, so it's like I just keep throwing money at Civ. It's the same thing. Same thing. I get it.
And you've already put what 300,000 plus hours into that game?
Yeah, I put a lot.
Oh, you play a lot. Every time I see your icon come up on the Switch, it's like, Jarrett, Civ 6. It's never another game.
What can I say? I'm nothing but
Switch
predictable.
Game.
I think Civ is not a game you can play for a short amount of time either. Because, like the turns take so long and like.
But I'm even like you with Skyrim though. I get like halfway through the game and I'm like, I'm bored. I need a new challenge because I really like that like the early ancient era time of the gameplay. And by the time I get to like the industrial modern era, I'm like, I'm bored. I need to go fight people and it won't like count against me diplomatically with the rest of the world because no one knows each other yet.
Yeah, it's like your industrial area is like my Bleak Falls Barrow. It's like where I get to and then it's done.
It's like, well, this is it. This is where I turn back. So Shane, what would you then say is your game of the year for 2021?
Okay, so, and I put a lot of thought into this. I am going to go with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Nice.
The
Excellent
reason
choice.
being, although I don't think it is an absolutely the best game that's ever been released by any means, it's probably the only game this year that A, I can remember well, and B, it gave me that old PS2 feeling while still feeling modern and new and like up to date. Because the way it was built was felt very much like when I used to game as a kid. But you could also see how modern and up to date it was. So yeah,
Right.
that's where I'm going with that. I think that's probably my game of the year.
Yeah, I loved
Yeah,
Ratchet and Clank. It was so fun.
this is a game I actually finished as well. So,
Nice.
It's a
yeah.
surprisingly easy game to finish as well because it's a decent length. They don't
Yeah.
mug you off
And-
by having it like 100 hours.
And it's not even like it's a challenging game, but it's not like an overly difficult one to play, even on like a harder difficulty setting. So in fact, the part that I had the hardest time with was the arena, where you were just doing like the challenge modes and stuff like that. But
yeah.
for the rest of it, like I feel like I just was smiling the whole time I played the game because it just was so
Yeah.
fun.
Exactly. And it had so much nostalgia while still being new. It was weird. It was a weird feeling of it being nostalgic and new at the same time, but it worked.
And just so damn pretty too. Like they
Oh.
pulled all the power they could out of the PS5
Pulled
for
out
that
all
one.
the stops.
Like all the just like particle stuff for the debris, all the cogs and stuff that you collect, the nut bolts and stuff that you collect, and just how many of those would be flying around the screen and stuff like that. It was insane how pretty that game was, and just handled it like a champ. Oh, so good.
Like as I was playing through that game, I always thought that this it felt like one of those early games that you get in like a console's life cycle, where if you go back to it at the end of PS5's life cycle, you'd be like, this is kind of crap and kind of like not great, like in comparison to like what we'll see in the future down the line. When
Yeah,
You're
you get,
still
used
gonna
to all
have
the
fun
hardware and
feelings for it.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, like for me, it was like I really enjoyed the time that I had with it, and I got the platinum trophy on it, and then I was just kind of like done. Then I'll never play that game again. Now that was it. It was just I'd probably never go back to it. Although I did love it, and it was like that kind of nostalgia for Ratchet and Clank. Like it did have that feeling, but like once it was done.
Right.
But
For me, anyway.
a nice feeling, like as Morgan was saying earlier about all these games that go on forever
Yeah.
Isn't it just nice to have a game that you know that once you're done, and you can just move on with
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, I would even say that playing a game and never like playing and finishing a game and then never playing it again, probably maybe a good sign in some ways, because that means that you got exactly what you needed out of it and weren't left wanting more, which could be a good thing. I also think it's really interesting that in 2021, two of the games that kind of, in terms of critics and like popularity, two of the games that most people would consider game of the year material were so similar in terms of both their original era and their reboots, being a very light term there. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Psychonauts 2. Both of their original games came out around the same time, like early PS2 era, kind of. I think I'm right about the years on that. And they both got reboots in the same year. And I'm using the word reboots, but that's not true. Psychonauts 2 is an actual sequel. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is its own standalone game, even though it is in the Ratchet and Clank universe. So I just think it's really interesting that they both kind of got new launches in the same year and that they were both so well received. And I think that ties into what Shane was saying, that there's solid value in having games that have a sealed narrative. It doesn't go on and on forever. It tells a very intentional story, and once that story is done, it's done. I personally find a lot of value in that, and I think that those games stay with me mentally and emotionally much longer than any other type of game does.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so that was a really great one as well. So Mike, what do you think is one of your, or not one of yours, what would be your game of the year, I guess, for 2021?
Game of the year is a tough one for 2021 because, like you were saying, I did play a lot of old games. I did go back to, I did play Skyrim a lot last year, and that was just sort of that comfort game because I just wasn't feeling the games at the time. Like I'd get these new titles, and lucky enough, like we've got Boomerang over here. Shout out to the boys at Boomerang, which is like just a rental service. So I did rent a lot of these titles that I was like, didn't want to spend like 50, 60, 70 quid on, So I did get Ratchet and Clank. I got Yakuza Like a Dragon, which was another
Fun.
kind of a surprise for me as a game, but it was a little too long, and it just I was like determined to finish it, and it just got the better of me because it was just way too long. And Shane called me out on that one because I was like, I'm gonna finish it, and he was like, no, and I didn't, and he was right, and I hate to admit that. But
it was never going to happen.
No. You're right. But one game I played at the minute, and I mean I can't really pick a game of the year for last year, just because I played so little of. I played a lot of games, but I played so little of all of those games that I couldn't really rate them. One did stick out, which was Pathless. Have you ever played that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Jared,
yeah.
We both
Is that
meant
the
to play the Pathless, and then
one
we
that I
didn't.
just totally missed? That's the one where you're like the falconer, right? With
Yeah.
the archer with a
Yeah.
falcon and stuff like that. Yeah, that one looked fun.
It's just a really unique take on its like its movement system was like really fast and fluid, and really fun to like get around. Like it wasn't a massively open world, but moving around that world was so free and fluid that it just felt like a ton of fun. And it had these sort of boss battle encounters that kind of reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus in some ways, where it was like tackling this big beast, and you'd have to take it out in a unique way. And there was about 4 or 5 of them, and again, just a short, solid story. It was, like you said, like Morgan was saying, it's just really contained. And once I was done with that game, and I was done, and that's the one where I was like, yeah, I'm done with that, and that was really satisfying, and I had a really great time playing through that. So yeah, just out of nowhere, I think Pathless was my game of the year last year because I just had so much fun playing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good to know because that's another one that's in my gigantic backlog at this point because
I know.
I heard so many good things about it, and before it came out, Jared, I remember you and me talking about like, oh man, that game looks sick. We definitely should play that.
But it was
And
one
then
that I
we
was like, I
just
wanted
didn't.
to. Yeah, because it was one I wanted to play on the PS5. Then I wound up getting one, but then still just like not. I don't know, just wasn't where I was ready to play Pathless, I guess, and just or completely forgot about it. But I do want to play it because the gameplay of it looks super fun. The like mechanics and the movement, like you were talking about, looks super great. Plus soundtracks by Austin Wintory, so like that's going to be so good.
That.
So like I need to play it at some point. I did actually like this year, and it's what?
It's a cheap game as well. It's
perfect.
It's like £20 over here.
Oh, nice. So that's a pretty cheap one for us too. So well, I need to play that one for real. I did actually this year make a list of games that like for even old ones that I want to go back and be sure like still play this year for sure. Just to be like help keep myself on track and maybe get through my backlog eventually, but like probably never going to. Morgan, what would you say is your game of the year then?
Also hard to say, and the only reason I say that is because I think the 2 games that I would nominate for being my game of the year are both ones that I haven't finished yet. So it feels like I can't really say that with conviction because I just haven't gotten around to finishing them yet. One of them I have a great excuse for, and that's Bravely Default 2. And the excuse is that game is so long.
Yeah.
And this isn't a surprise, and this won't be a surprise to any fan of JRPGs and any game like it, or even the previous 2 Bravely games, Bravely Default and Bravely Second. They are the kind of JRPG that is long to the point of burnout. So I've done this with every other Bravely game, and it's just par for the course. I will play a lot for maybe a month or 2 and just totally burn myself out on it, and then I have to take a long break. But it's the kind of game that you can come back to it and immediately pick up right where you left off because the way that the combat is and the way that the story is told is so lasting that there's no way you can really forget it. It's not like when you come back to, I don't know, sometimes I come back to like Breath of the Wild, for example, and I'm derping around and I'm like, what was I doing here? I'm in this part of the map and I know I have some objectives, but the objective is way over there and I'm right here. I must have come over here for a reason. What was the reason? And I just completely forget about it. Or it's a game that you actually forget some of the controls. That happens to me a lot where you come back to a game and you're like, I don't remember how to play. I just don't remember how to play this game, and now I'm really bad at it, but I'm already 3/4 of the way through the game, so the difficulty is really high, and you're sitting there like, oh, this
Do I
isn't
just
really gonna
restart?
work. Yeah, I would say that Control is a great example of that, because if you
Oh
come
yeah.
back to Control after a long time away, but you already have all of the powers and a bunch of different types of the gun, and you're just like,
Mhm.
I don't know which buttons do what in this game, and it's really hard to pick back up. But Bravely's not like that. Bravely Default, you can come back to it and instantly remember exactly what you were doing. I can think right now exactly where I am in the game, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do that because a dragon just died, and then oh, that was a spoiler. Nothing happened, but a baby dragon just became the new dragon king. Yay! For his dad retired. That's all it was. He just retired is all. So I know exactly where I am in the game, and I can remember the plot points around it, and I loved the characters.
Mhm.
Princess Gloria, waifu for laifu, she's my favorite. But just for the reason that I totally burned myself out on it, I obviously haven't finished it. I think I'm at least halfway through, so this year I'm gonna finish the rest of that game.
There you
And
go.
the other one, I really don't have an excuse for. I should have finished it over the break and just didn't because I started playing Alan Wake instead.
Oh.
I started playing the Alan Wake remaster, but I should have spent that time finishing Metroid Dread.
What
Which
are you
I
doing?
think I know, yeah. Metroid Dread is objectively a phenomenal game. It feels so good to play. It is a fabulous 2D like adventure platformer. It
Mhm.
does what it does so well. It's beautiful. The soundtrack is great. All of the boss battles are really fun and challenging. It's hard.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that it's as hard as some people made it sound like on the internet. Bunch of babies. You just start over after the Emmy kill you. It's not that big a deal. But it's a short game. You know, it's
Yeah.
only max 5 to 8 hours for a lot of players, 8 to 10 for a player like me. If you're a speedrunner or Bro Mogan, it's only 3 hours. So there's really no excuse for me to have not finished it other than that. Oh, wait, I kind of have an excuse. The Animal Crossing expansion came out.
Oh, that's right.
Not my fault. That's Animal Crossing's fault. So I think it would either come down to Metroid Dread or Bravely Default 2, and a special shout out to Monster Hunter Rise, because in terms of hours played, I put a lot of hours into Rise and then just kind of forgot about it.
Well, we're gonna have to get
Which-
back on the
I
Rise
did-
train here in a little bit because, like, we got
Yeah.
the Sunbreak, or is that what it's called?
Yes.
Sunbreak, Sunstone, something like that.
I think it's
Got
Sunbreak.
its DLC coming out soon, so
Yeah.
that'll be fun to jump back into it.
Yeah, and that's definitely not meant to be a dig at Monster Hunter Rise. I just do think that it definitely didn't grab me the way that World did.
Mhm.
Monster Hunter World, I kept playing pretty consistently for over a year. I would say that I put maybe 5 to 6 months of consistent work into Monster Hunter Rise, and then just kind of got to the point where I didn't finish the game, but I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm done. I think that's enough for now. I'm sure it's the kind of game that I'll come back to every now and then, but I don't think that it's just something about it just didn't really, grab and keep you in it like World did.
Right.
So that's a very long way to say it's either Metroid Dread or Bravely Default 2 for me. Sorry.
Nice. I gotta say then that my game of the year, I feel like I mentioned it on a past episode, a couple episodes back, but I do actually, after a year that I thought was gonna have quite a few possibilities and stuff like that, like Ratchet and Clank. I finished, I know it was last year game or a 2020 game, but I finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla this year, so I'm counting that one in the discussion as well. But I do have to give it to, I think, Kena Bridge of Spirits, just because and that's what I'm saying,
Yes.
Shane, like, oh, strap in, it's gonna be a good time. You're gonna love it, because I think, especially if you had such a good time with Ratchet and Clank, I think that Kena is kind of adjacent in, like, its gameplay and feel a little bit, not quite as like hectic and zany explosions and all that stuff, but just like in its gameplay style, he feels very similar.
Yeah, it's in the same
but
vein, isn't it?
But I mean, it's an action platformer, like 3D action platformer, kind of has a fun. It is open world light, I would say. Like there's defined paths and defined areas that you go to, but there's not like leaving this area to go to like with a load screen kind of thing. It's all one big open map that you can explore. But the thing that kind of sets it apart, even though the combat was super fun and super challenging, I was actually this morning watching Kirok stream it some, and he was in like the early parts of the game and tried to do some of the puzzles and different stuff like that. And just like, but seeing the combat again reminded me just like how fun it is, but also it's an incredibly difficult game in that regard. And like the final bosses of that one, oh man, will have you struggling. But it's one of those that at the end of it, it like toes that fine line for being almost too hard, but being just hard enough. So you finish it and you're like, oh, that was a good fight. Like you get that really great sense of accomplishment and stuff like that. And so
kind of reminded me of the Fiori games and how they worked with like
yeah,
how tough that game was and how the boss battles were.
Yeah, that was for sure. Especially Will the Wisps. Will the Wisp bosses were hard. Which also, I was just looking back at my list. That was the first game I actually completed last year. Was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Completely
nice.
forgot that I played that one last year. But no, that was another great one too. But the thing I think though for Ratchet and Clank, or with Kena Bridge of Spirits, that puts it over Ratchet and Clank and all the others for the Game of the Year spot is the story and emotional impact that Kena has. So good. Like it also too, like the level and the quality. I know the quality of like the cinematic isn't necessarily the quality of the game, or the quality of the graphics aren't the quality of the game, but the cinematics are like Pixar level good.
Yeah.
Like
You
and just
gotta-
even,
Such a small team as well.
yes, exactly. Like it's just you got to give them credit for that because of how good it looks. And so I think that Ratchet, while having the fun, and like I said, I was playing it with a smile on my face the whole time. I think Kena presented just a tad more of a challenge and had that emotional impact that I really like in its story, and that's what set that one on top for me. So I got to give it to Kena Bridge of Spirits. Fantastic game. I realized though earlier I didn't answer the surprise hit question. Got too sucked in, and
You sucked into the Hot Wheels Unleashed. Understandable.
And I gotta say, I'm looking at my list. Bugs and Axe was one that I liked more than I thought I would. But I don't know if that was the surprise hit for me. I honestly think, Mogan, you're gonna be so mad, and I'm sorry.
God. Is it Skyrim? Please no.
No, you're gonna be
mad.
You're gonna be even more mad. For one, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Yes, that's my surprise hit, because I went into it.
Wait, is that
no,
real?
I'm not joking. I'm serious. And the reason why I'm saying it's a surprise hit is because you have shit talked that game so hard.
It's bad. Oh no.
And I had a really fun time with it. I didn't take it too seriously. And while I will admit the like the Indiana Jones Uncharted trope of a character, of a hero, is a little overdone and out and seen past its time a little bit, but still,
he's a mass murderer.
Exactly right. Like that's what I'm kind of playing this going. I'm like, I'm supposed to like this guy. He's shooting so many people. But so yes. Looking that aside, the thing that I enjoyed about it a lot was, while ignoring all that stuff of it, definitely wasn't for the story side of it and everything. It just had some very impressive set pieces and in areas where like the action sequence or whatever was going on, and I was just like, wow, this is really well laid out. And I like actually noticed it. I feel like it has to be like really impressive for me to notice it and to actually be like, oh, I see what they were doing here. Like I remember this one point, you're like having a big fight in a courtyard, and you're at this one point you're trying to traverse from one side of the courtyard to the other, but you're having to do it over buildings and like climbing on some signs and different stuff like that. And you wind up in the middle of this courtyard on a sign that has like 3 sides to it. It looks like a T, basically, if you look from it from above. And while you're hanging off the sign, enemies start coming from all sides. So all you're doing, I'm sure it would look real dumb in real life, but you're just jumping and swinging from side to side on this sign, and just like taking cover on one side, popping over, shooting over here, taking cover on the other side, popping up, shooting over here. So I liked that part a whole lot. I was like, man, that was really fun. And there was also a chase sequence where you're jumping from like the back of vehicle to vehicle and everything later on in the game. I don't know. It had some fun set pieces that I was pretty excited about.
0 out of 10 game. Don't listen to Jarrett, people. Don't replay it. Don't go back to it.
I'm not saying it doesn't have its problems, and I'm not saying it's like a stellar game that I loved, but like I've been making it a goal to like slowly play through those games, and I got to Uncharted 2 this year. And I was like, wow, I liked it better than I thought. Mostly because
I will say I wouldn't go back and replay it now, but if you played 1 prior to it, 2 feels so much nicer than 1 because 1 was so horrible mechanically.
I will agree with you
Uh,
there 100%.
that it blows it out of the water because it just feels so much nicer in comparison to 1 when you compare the two. That makes to me that I remember playing it and being like, oh my god, this game is so good, just because my expectation is set so low because of 1, because I hated 1 because the mechanics in 1 are awful. The combat's awful, the movement's awful. It just it's not great in 1, and they do such a good job of turning that around to 2 that it does make it feel substantially better than what the game potentially is, because your comparison is that initial 1.
Oh, absolutely. But I will say too, the other thing that I did, just like by the time I got done playing Uncharted 2, I was like, if I have to climb this damn train one more time, because the game opens with you climbing up that train that that's been crashed off the side of the mountain, then you have to do the exact same sequence again, like halfway through. And I was like, this is so long. Why am I doing this again? I've already been here. I know what happens. He makes it out.
Uncharted.
I'm sorry. I just, I'm starting off 2022 with violence. God. I chose fighting words.
You really did. My kingdom to eventually get to a point as a society where 100% of the population has forgotten about Uncharted, and then I will finally be able to rest.
Nope, that's never going to happen because you're about to have the hit franchise of films about to.
I was about to say, yeah.
God, I forgot about the movies. Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to see how they handle some of the story and yes, the mass murder of Nathan Drake in that one.
He really is he's killing hundreds of people.
And granted, there are people that are trying to kill him, but also you're the one in here trying to do the illegal thing too, of steal some stone that definitely doesn't belong to you. So who are you to say? So oh man. But anyway, so yeah, I had to throw that out there since I realized I didn't talk about it earlier on in the show. But sorry. But yeah, so I'd have to say that, but then I will probably say that Assassin's Creed Valhalla probably is the follow-up, as just like the honorable mention. I did spend 105 hours in that game and am wanting always to go back. Kurok's playing it now, and I keep seeing it, and he keeps tagging me and stuff about it. And I'm like, dude, I just want to you're making me want to play it again. Because I know they've dropped a couple of the DLC, which I haven't played either of those. And then they just released the big trailer for the huge DLC that's coming out in April, I believe, Dawn of Ragnarok.
Because the game wasn't big enough.
Right? But and apparently is massively expansive DLC that they're bringing out here. And so that all looks very exciting. They did the crossover story with Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I want to play that. So they're doing a really good job of keeping me interested. I'm just I cannot go back there yet because I have so much other stuff I want to play. I'm kind of thinking that whenever I make because one of the things I'd like to do in 2022 is start streaming again a little bit more and actually stick to it. But I'm kind of thinking it's an easier, I'm not committed to playing through this whole game kind of thing, is going in when I stream and streaming through trophy hunting for the platinums and stuff on these specific games that I want to do. So I figure when I do that, I'll get back into Valhalla, because that is one I'd like to have that eventual 10 years down the road check mark of I platinumed that one. So I follow Mike's footsteps.
I genuinely think the last time we did a podcast with you at the beginning of 2021, about a week later, I stopped playing Valhalla.
Oh, really?
I literally was like, I'm done with this now. I got about 30 hours in and was like, I can't do this anymore.
Man, it sucked me in big time. I had a blast at that game.
I
don't even know if I passed the tutorial.
Do what?
I don't even know if I passed the tutorial.
Oh, don't even pass the tutorial.
Yeah, that's true. The tutorial in that game was long because you kept finding new areas, and there'd be surprise, more to learn.
Did you say that game came out in 2020?
Yeah, it was November 2020.
So this, I think, is a problem with largely related to the Rona, the state of the world.
Sure.
I think part of the reason that I feel like I'm having trouble remembering what I played in 2021 is that so many of the games had considerable bleed from 2020. For example, when you were talking about sleeper hits, I was this close to saying that my sleeper hit was Fall Guys, because in my mind, that game came out last year, but last year was 2020. So I'm just those 2 years really just kind of blended together in my brain. And so I'm having a little bit of trouble being oh, when were those release dates?
2021 didn't exist.
I agree.
I'm sure of it.
It didn't exist. Not real.
We're just imagining it.
Yeah.
I saw somebody writing, well, I guess it doesn't. I saw somebody write the date of 2022 and it like being the joke of making it like 2020-2. Like it's
part 2, yeah.
yeah, part 2. Although I guess technically it's part 3 because but like I know it doesn't seem like we're on a much better track than where we were with 2021. But anyway, who knows? But speaking of 2022, we've talked about 2021 enough. What are we looking forward to the most in 2022? Mogan, why don't you kick us off?
You know what? I actually thought about this a lot because I was like, it's still the same. It's still 2020. We are still in 2020, but it's not true. There's a one. This is such a like self-serving reason because it's a game that I know I'm not gonna play for multiple reasons. One, I still don't have a PlayStation 5. At this point, I'm probably never gonna get my hands on one. Two,
Go ahead and pre-order PS6.
yeah. Oh God, yeah. Two, it's the kind of game that I like to. I'm a gamer, sort of, but this is the kind of game where I'm like, I'm not a gamer. I'm not gonna play that game. I don't play games, and it's a name I can't even think of. Elden Ring. It's Elden Ring.
Yes.
So I'm really excited for Elden Ring to come out for a very specific reason. One of my favorite things to do on late night when I'm bored and I need an excuse to eat popcorn and I just want to watch something relatively mindless but that I find extremely interesting. YouTube video game lore videos. I love them. And there are so many from every Soulsborne you can think of. If you want to sink a solid 5 hours of your life into nothingness, just look up Dark Souls lore. And from just the first game, you can get so much. There's so much going on there that people will doggedly talk about for hours on end. And I know that the same thing is going to happen with Elden Ring. So I'm
for sure.
like selfishly so excited for like a month, 2 months, 6 months after the game comes out for those people to start finishing their magnum opus Elden Ring lore videos. And then I'll be able to sit there and be like, yes, it's time for my favorite time of the year. Waste 12 hours of the weekend watching lore videos. I know I won't play it. I'm definitely not going to, but I will probably watch Bro Mogan play it. I'll probably watch other streamers play it, and I will love to watch the videos about it. It'll be like very secondhand enjoyment, but
Sure.
I'm totally okay with that. So I'm super jazzed for Elden Ring.
The one reason I'm excited for it is watching other people play these types of games is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to try playing it myself.
Ew.
More specifically because it'll be fresh and with a lot of like the Soulsborne games, I noticed with a lot of streamers they kind of get pulled through it by the amazing community that it's got. Like everyone's so supportive, but it kind of ruins that element of like not knowing what's going to happen and things like that.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
people kind of get pulled through it a little bit, but now that this is all fresh and new, it's going to be exciting to watch people really, really genuinely struggle this
Actually
time.
struggle.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm glad
Yeah.
we're on the same page.
Lots of keyboards and not keyboards. Or is it coming to PC? Is Elden Ring coming to PC or is it just PS5, Xbox?
Don't know.
I feel like it. But regardless, broken controllers and TVs everywhere, I'm sure, for people rage quitting and throwing stuff across the room.
I mean, I consider myself a gamer, but I have not completed a Soulsborne game.
I haven't either. I tried the first Dark Souls and immediately went the wrong way and just like had a
I
hell of
remember
a
the
time.
story. So as far as games I actually want to play, I think none of the ones that are really high on my list are actually slated for release in 2022, and they are of course
Frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, God, Breath of the Wild 2. It might come out this year. Is it supposed to come out this year? I feel
Who
like
knows?
they kind
I
of
think
said,
it's
yeah.
slated
Who
for,
knows?
yeah.
So
I feel like maybe wink.
Yeah. I'll phrase it this way. I'm not confident. I'm not
Sure.
confident that that game is coming out this year. Same goes for Splatoon 3. Those are the two big games that I'm like, yes, when those come out, it's going to be a new world for me. But I just genuinely don't think they're coming out in 2022. And if they do, what a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
think
true.
Nintendo just brings games out when they know we need them.
Yeah.
That's when they release things.
They say
The world's not ready yet for this.
They actually had Animal Crossing New Horizons finished 5 years before 2020, but they were like, we know you're going to need it. We're just going to sit on this until everybody needs it.
Oh man. So Shane, what about you? What's the game for 2022 that you're excited about?
Well, you know how I was saying that it was really hard to pick a game for 2021 because it felt like nothing came out. Having looked through all the games coming out in 2022, it feels like everything's coming out. Literally
Yes, 2022
everything.
is stacked.
But there's two specifically that stuck out to me, and one of them I don't know. It's a bit in the Breath of the Wild category of I don't know if it is going to come out this year, and that will be Bayonetta 3. Because that's a little bit
Yes.
like they're
Yep.
going, we hope it'll be out, but we're not making any promises.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. But the one that really stands out for me, which is currently slated for March of this year, is Triangle Strategy. Don't you remember
Yes.
because that looks
Yeah.
incredible.
That's
And
like the
best name.
spiritual successor sequel to Octopath, right?
It's by the same studio,
yeah.
but it's not.
Okay, but it's not
related to those
connected at all.
games.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's graphically it's similar, but it's got more of a combat style of Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more like that type of gameplay. And having played the demo was fantastic. And I actually thought this was due out in like 3 years or something. I completely forgot it was coming out this year until I did some research. But no, I'm very excited for that. And I think that's going to be I think that's probably going to end up being my sleeper hit of this year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm just so excited to see. I loved Octopath Traveler. I still play that game. Every now and then I get like the unquenchable urge to go back to Octopath Traveler and keep playing it. And I have to, because otherwise it'll never go away. Kind of like Bravely Default. I circle back to those games every now and then. And the graphic style I think is kind of off-putting to a lot of people, but I personally can't get enough of it. And I actually don't really enjoy tactical RPGs because I'm not smart and I can't think ahead. Chess is not my forte, and that's kind of like a chess game in a way, but I really want to give it a shot. I know for sure that my brother is going to love Triangle Strategy, and frankly, I admire their studio's dogged pursuit of finding the worst names they possibly can for their games and just sticking to it. They're like, no, we're not going to name it a better name. We're going to keep it the stupid name, and no one can convince us otherwise.
I do enjoy
we
it.
really wanted a Triangle Strategy for our podcast, but they beat us to it. So
Damn it.
God, man, yeah, that would have been
Second best.
awesome.
I do enjoy that just before they released the demo, they released it as Project Triangle Strategy. And they're like, wow, what should we call it now then? Oh, just drop the word project. It'll be fine. Just don't worry about it.
They did almost the exact same thing with Octopath Traveler because people were like, ooh, is that what you're going to call it? And they were like, no. Yes. It is
No.
what we're gonna
Wink.
call it. Wink. We're definitely going to call it that. Oh, you got to admire them. Good for
I know.
them.
They're like the world says no, we say yes. You
can't convince. Yeah. Wait, what's it? Change my mind. It's the
Yeah.
you can't change my mind meme. That guy is that studio.
Oh man. So Mike, what about you? What has you excited for 2022?
I just want to give a quick shout out to the Three Houses game because I completely forgot about that and I spent so much fucking time playing.
Did that come out in 2021?
I don't think it did, but I
No.
played it in 2021, so that's when
Okay.
it came out for me.
It counts.
It counts.
On the Team
It
Chat
counts.
podcast rules, it
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. But there's a few huge games coming out hopefully this year from PlayStation, and I'm all about those PS exclusives.
Mhm.
God of War being one of them, which
gonna be
Ragnarok
good.
just looks incredible, like carrying on that story. And I played it again this year, the first one, and just fell in love with it all over again. I watched the documentary the making of as well, which is fantastic. Such
Nice.
Such a great hour and a half on YouTube that you can spend.
Who made it?
Um,
Do you remember?
who made the documentary?
Yeah. Because I know that I don't think he did it, but I know that one guy, Danny O'Dwyer, makes with NoClip makes a ton of and he did one about the making of Horizon Zero Dawn that was super good. So I didn't know if he did that one too.
I know that it's on like PlayStation's YouTube channel. You can find it on there.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to go check it out.
But
That sounds really good.
It's literally like the making of God of War or something like
Ooh,
that.
nice.
But yeah, super good. But yeah, so excited for that. I think capping off this story is such a smart choice to make it in two parts rather than going like a trilogy.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the team working on it, we've got Alana Pierce, that's now a writer on there. I think that's a great choice. And the guy, I forget his name now, Corey.
Corey in the house?
Barlog?
Oh,
Barlog?
Yeah, but yeah.
Not Corey House.
Balrog
For
always
sure
comes to
I
my
had
head
it.
when I read that name.
I know. I always say it. Wanted to say it the wrong way too. It's not Lord of the Rings reference. It's not the creature there.
Yeah.
It's
But he's such a fantastic head to the studio, and you see like a really cool side of him. Like kind of the inspiration for the story is he becomes a father when he comes back to the studio, and you can kind of see all that influence in the game, and just more of that, please. Yes, 100%.
Nice.
And the other one that's if I kind of had to pick one that I'm super excited for, is Sifu.
Yes.
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
That's
the
one on my
sort of, like,
list. That's one on my list for sure.
It looks like John Wick meets Cobra Kai in a video game.
It
looks
Yeah.
really does.
incredible.
That's a great way to
It's gonna
describe
be
it.
it's gonna be awesome. And with the oh
Yeah,
man, it looks like it's
comes
gonna be
out-
so fun.
Comes out February, so next month. I think it's early as well, like early next month.
Is that
Looks
a
amazing.
PS
Looks so much fun.
exclusive? Yes.
I'm not sure it does. I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know.
it is.
Let
I was
me-
going to mention Horizon Zero Dawn about the other exclusive, but
Yeah.
Oh,
which
it's
also looks
not.
amazing.
It's for PS4, PS5, and PC. It's not
Oh,
exclusive.
okay.
Yeah.
So just not Xbox then.
Ha.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
Sifu
super
looks like
excited.
it's gonna be great.
It's made by the same guys who made Absolver. If you played that,
Yeah,
it was kind of
yeah.
in the same sort of kung fu, like this crazy combat style type thing. That was kind of reminded me of For Honor, how it worked, where it had like a lot of work with the analog stick, and
Mhm.
it was all about timing and stuff like that. And it just looks so much fun. Like, can't
That's
wait
gonna
to
be
just
one.
kung fu
Yeah.
my way through through a video game again. I feel like it's been years since the Jackie Chan Stunt Master. It's the last game I think I played.
I feel like it's going to be one of those games where like people are going to be putting out these insane gameplay videos of them just absolutely
Yeah,
kicking ass and destroying things, and I'm going to be like, that's going to be me. And then
Yeah.
my gameplay montage of me going like punch, punch, pa. Just like these slow. They're not pretty. They're not clean. But I'm like,
Mine is
I
just going
got
to be
through.
spamming low kick until I win by
Yeah.
default.
Oh man. Well,
Well,
yeah,
I
you
mean,
mentioned
there's already videos out there like that, are just like no hit runs and stuff like that. People have got like a 10-minute demo of it, and so they're already like they've got these videos already out there, and
people are already
I'm all
masters of
more
the game, so
excited
why
for it,
even
yeah.
try? I know,
Yeah.
but yeah, it does make the game look really great. I that's one on my list for sure. But I think the one that I'm the most excited about is one you mentioned too, Horizon Forbidden West. Like that one,
Yeah.
Sifu was like my other one because I was like, Forbidden West is like very obvious. Like for me, people pick that, but like, no, duh, of course you picked that one because I love Zero Dawn so much. But Forbidden West just looks like it's gonna be like what you were saying about God of War Ragnarok, Mike. Just how it's like more of that, please, because like and
Yeah.
better. It looks like
Yeah.
they've expanded on it. They've added in more stuff, more machines that look like those are just going to be insane to fight against. They got their
Yeah.
hang glider, the underwater swimming now. Like, oh man, the
You know
trimmer
what-
tusks. Oh,
What the
oh,
latest
it's gonna be good.
gameplay reminded me of was one of my favorite games of all time ever, which was Shadow of the Colossus.
Mhm.
Where you've obviously got these hulking dinosaurs, like it's a giant snake robot,
Yeah,
and I can't wait to just climb on its back and like find its weak spots.
I know it's
Um,
going to be that one, especially the snake looked like that's going to be a pain to fight
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because of how fast it moves, how quick it is. It's small, it's fast, but
Yeah.
also massive. So yeah, it's going to be.
And
I want to replay Forbidden Zero Dawn. I mean, I want to play Zero Dawn before Forbidden West. I'd love to. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's going to work out time wise to do it again. I definitely am not going to like. I platinumed that one, so like I don't have a need to go back and do the side quests and all that jazz. I just want to go through the
Yeah.
story one more time. But I don't know if I'll get around to that. But I'd love to be able because that one's coming up pretty quick. It's like almost a month away. I think it's the 18th. I think when that one comes out in February.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
So I'm excited for it. So hopefully no more last minute delays. I hope it's. I mean, take your time, finish it if it's not done.
Yeah.
But also please give it to me on the 18th. Oh man, well,
I kind of wanted to just have a little honorable mention for Cheese because he's not here at the minute.
oh yeah,
He's currently hooked on Stardew Valley to the point where he's like had to
amazing.
make a separate tab for Stardew Valley because all he talks about now is Stardew Valley.
Nice.
But just going forward into 2022, I think it comes out in 2022, but he's a very small studio. It's like a one-man team, maybe two-man team, something like that. and he's bringing out the sequel, Haunted Chocolatier.
That's right. I
which
forgot about
is
that.
Essentially, Stardew Valley 2, and it looks incredible. He
Oh
plays the chocolatier.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember the trailer dropping for that like 2-3 months ago, I guess. And
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
immediately
long ago.
like sent it to my wife and was like, oh,
I
here we go.
forgot because Jared and I know what it is to have the Stardew Valley fever.
Oh, I had
Yeah.
the fever big time. The only prescription was more Stardew Valley.
But yeah, shout out.
But that one
to
looks like
to
it's
that
gonna be
one for
good.
Cheese anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have to do another episode later on when we can get Cheese on as well. It's bummed that he couldn't make it to the recording for this episode. So because we've talked with you guys as much, and I know I've interacted with Cheese a little bit on like social media and a couple of his streams and stuff like that. But like, you know, it's fun to get to talk to him in person too. So we'll have to do that for one of our future episodes later on in the year.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you over at the TripleXP camp sometime soon.
Oh, that'd be fun. Definitely always down for that. But I guess that pretty much wraps it up. I didn't really have anything else for 2022. Like obviously, like we said, they're stacked. It's stacked. Tons of games coming out this year. Lots to look forward to. But I was kind of thinking fun. We each had different ones that we were looking forward to. So that's very fun. A lot of good stuff to look forward to coming out. But thanks, guys, for coming on and joining us for this episode. It was a blast to have you on again, and definitely have you on again in the future. So one more time, if you guys want to give a quick little plug for TripleXP, where people can find you, where people can find the show, both you guys as hosts, all that fun stuff, if people want to find and listen and follow.
So for the podcast, it's at TripleXP, just everywhere on the internet, wherever you can find us. Our personal Twitter handles are Just Mike Plays, that's me, and Subbar Shazam.
Me.
And
In case you're wondering.
and there's Made Out of Cheese as well, aka Colin, who's our other third host. But yeah, just well, it's been a pleasure to be here and get to chat to you guys again. And it's
always a pleasure
to make this like a regular thing.
Yeah.
I know we do. We need to get on, like maybe do some streams and stuff too. Like, yeah, play some
It
games.
kind of
and
feels
whatnot.
like we're like a strained, like our parent, like we were from two different families that got married and then they got divorced again. So now
And we're
it's like,
reconnecting.
oh, remember our step siblings that we used to be really close to? We see them once a year now.
Well, we need to make it more than once a year, so we'll definitely do some stuff later on for sure. But yeah, thanks guys for coming on. It was a super fun getting to recap last year, talk about what we're excited for this coming year, and as always, you can always come back to it each week for a new episode of Team Chat Podcast, where you can hear us talk about those games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. But until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined across the power of the internet by my co-host Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
And our guests for this episode, Mike and Shane from TripleXP. Thanks for being here once again, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.